Truck 1, Ambulance 1, Medic 1, showing all units en route to
Dispatch Ambulance 7, St. Mary's Code 3 was on.
Welcome to Going Interior, podcast about doing hard jobs and living life well. I'm your host, Jamie Kavanaugh, Captain Paramedic and Peer Support Team Coordinator at the Grand Junction Fire Department. My guest today, Robert Thomason. Really excited to have him. Retired firefighter paramedic from the Grand Junction Fire Department, currently serving as a logistics coordinator with us with an incredible resume. So I was looking through it and I counted up, Robert. 84 years of pretty much full-time jobs. And I know you're not that old if we count firefighting, paramedicing, flight medic, and in industry, right? Before you even started.
Correct.
You were just volunteering.
I was just volunteering.
Just volunteering. We're going to have Sally on later who's going to verify all this information and the fact that, yeah, you worked a lot.
That is correct, yeah. I mean,
you work a lot.
Can't do it without your spouse.
Absolutely, yeah. Teamwork makes the dream work.
That's right, correct.
Plus some volunteering, right? Air show, JUCO.
That's correct.
Holy cow.
Thanks for having me on here, Jamie. That
Absolutely.
Awesome.
How'd you do all that, though? And you're still like the most positive person. Every morning you come in, it's like it's just a pleasure to see you, man. And you're always happy to see people. You greet people, go out of your way to show them that they're important. That's what I notice. And it's just a really cool thing that you do. So how do you, what is it?
It just attributes to kind of where I grew up.
Okay. Where was that?
So I grew up in Southern California, Arizona, Tripoli, Libya, Beirut, Lebanon.
Okay.
And then came to Colorado.
Wow.
And the aspect of third world countries was allowing me to see how other people live, as well as people that don't have much. Whereas we work for what we have. They do too, but there's not a lot available to them. Mm-hmm. And one of the coolest things that happened was my dad got the opportunity to go to Libya back in a few years ago, 1969. And his job was, he was working for an oil company, but his real job was to show how to grow crops in the desert, so in the sand. And there was a 100-year flow of the Nile River glacial under the sand in the desert. And that's what he used to do that. But it goes back to stemming from that we were fortunate enough to be able to see how other people lived. And that kind of had the impact on the way that I look at things. I look at them totally different. Everybody has great days. Everybody has bad days. But if you can make somebody's bad day a little better, then you've really accomplished something. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, you smile throughout. You wake up, you get going, and every day is different. Every day is a learning experience. And if you can make somebody's day, then you make somebody's day.
Mm-hmm. You've been a paramedic for a long time. How?
I've been a paramedic.
When did you start?
And when I was going through school, it's a struggle. For me, myself, personally, it's a struggle to get through anything I do, especially when there's books involved. Mm-hmm. So I found other ways to compensate for my learning. I have to learn to gauge things differently, and paramedicine was one of the things that I kind of wanted to do. As my mom said, you always wanted to be a fireman. Well, that was part of being a fireman, was being a medic, and helping people throughout. And by doing that, you learn to accept that everybody has those bad days. And if you can make them feel better, more comfortable in their time of need, then that's really what you have to do. And throughout the years of doing that, you get more comfortable at making them feel comfortable. You get better at your medicine. You get better at knowing the community that you're in, because that helps by being here such a long time.
We were commenting on that on the way over. We didn't see you as we were walking over to the studio, and we all said, well, Robert probably ran into 50 people that he knows on the way down the street, which is not uncommon for you. You've just, you've connected with so many people, and as in all these different roles, from ski patrol to care flight to paramedic on the ambulance. I mean, the number of people you've interacted with and potentially had that positive impact in so many different ways too, right? Care flight, like it's not all intubations and glory all the time. You're talking about just meeting somebody on a bad day and trying to make it a little better, right? Not always, putting in a breathing tube or something like that.
Correct. It's, it's really making somebody feel comfortable to be able to talk to them. It really puts their mind at ease, or at least lessens the anxiety that they have to deal with of a situation that they might not be very comfortable with. I mean, how many times do you, like right now, I'm not very comfortable with this, and you are making it much more comfortable for me.
Good.
So it makes, that's our job, or was my job. It still is my job as a logistics guy, to make sure that all of my firefighters and EMTs and paramedics have the right tools now to do the job correctly. And if there isn't, then we have to make it so that it is. And that I feel that's my responsibility, just like you feel that's your responsibility, is to make everybody feel better. As a peer support, that's what you do. And I did that at St. Mary's as well. You know that because you were part of that. Really, when you're talking to somebody that's had a bad day, with not so positive mindset at this time, you gotta turn it around for them as well, so that they can come out of this without that big scar of the situation that they had. If you can do that, then you've really done your job as whether the peer group, or you've made their day better, given them a positive outlook on things.
I like that perspective. So there's all these studies in medicine and stuff, and there's this study about giving pain medication early for traumatic injuries, right? Because it potentially helps the long run of the healing. You're not developing that kind of that negative mental association with that trauma, basically. And that's kind of what you're saying, though, too, is like you're providing that soothing to them, not necessarily by narcotics or something like that, but by just your interaction and making them feel comfortable and potentially helping the outcome even for the long term of a patient. It's a pretty cool thought.
That's been my philosophy, or my whole outlook, is to make it better for that situation. You can put it in medicine, or you can put it in a fire, or you can put it in every day. And everybody definitely has bad days.
Sure.
But if you can tone the bad day down, and they can understand that, we all are the same, basically. It doesn't matter who you really are. It just matters that you have a better day somehow. You learn something each day, and you have a better day. And that's the whole philosophy that I have, is to try to, whoever I come in contact with, try to make it a better day. And cool. A better outcome for them. That's
cool. How do you do that? Let me read the Robert manual real quick from the inside. Some people are a little more technical to say, like, I'm going to help them have a better day. I mean, do you think about it consciously, or is it just something that kind of comes natural to you?
I don't really think about it. It's just I don't know if you call it my upbringing, my interaction with all the crews, the different crews. You know that everybody is just so different today. Everybody's on 100 miles an hour.
Oh yeah.
Trying to get to point A to point B.
Yeah.
Trying to really get all their things that they have to do in a day.
Yeah.
And if you can take one thing off of someone's plate,
Yeah.
That gives them 5 minutes to breathe.
Oh yeah.
That gives them that
Yeah.
real, okay,
Yeah.
I'm okay. I don't have to be here until this time, and I got 5 minutes, man. I can have a drink of water. I can take a breath. I can, just relax. And as I'm sure it'll come up at some point in time, but here's your piece of candy for the day.
Right. So that's Robert's thing. He greets you with a handshake, a smile, and a Starburst. Or a red vine if you're on the ambulance, maybe.
That's correct. And it always seems to make everybody's day. I mean, when you first met me, I didn't give out candy.
You didn't, but you still gave out. Man, you're the person that would still give the shirt off your back, and that's what I've always really appreciated. And like you were saying, I've done these jobs that are pretty stressful. So I was the EMS supervisor and stuff like that, and we were running from task to task. And now, as a captain at the busy station or training, I could call you and be like, Robert, I need a hand with something. And I knew, even if it's your day off, I like to see what your schedule is, because I don't want to bother you on your day off, because I know you will help me. Even if it is your day off, you're like in Mexico or something, you'd be answering your phone and helping me out. But I want to give you that time away. But it was so refreshing and helpful just to have somebody to do those things. It's like, my computer's broken down. I know you would go out of your way. You'd bring one from home. You'd get one from another station, whatever it was. I'm running a busy shift, and it's like, wow, not only is that logistically, yes, your job right now is logistics coordinator. So that logistics was taken care of, but it also, you go beyond that of just like, now I feel taken care of somebody else who I have known for a while, for 12, 13 years, that I know cares for me and cares for the other people on the department, which completely shifts the dynamic a little bit. It's like, I feel cared for. I feel like I can go out and care for these patients now. I'm part of this team that's all, looking out for the best of each other. And that's an awesome thing that you bring to our department.
And I'll do that for anybody that needs that help. But, you got to think about family. Mm-hmm. Family is really important. Whether it's your better half or whether it's your kids or your grandkids or whoever it might be, those all require some help at some point in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess the best thing to do is to be there for those people. So the fire department became a family early on, back in the early days, before 1985. Even in the volunteer service. And the volunteer service really kind of helped with that brotherhood back in the day. I mean, you used to do field days where you would compete with other fire departments.
What did you do, and what were the competitions?
Some of them were like a single man would be a hose lay, pull the hose out of the truck, hook it up, squirt water, or it would be roll out a hose, hook, things that we do normally on a fire ground, but you would have competition with other departments.
Okay.
Which was a great family building event where even the wives would get involved and do their little thing. And, it was a blast, and everybody would laugh and say, look what he did, I'm not going to do that. And then the next guy would come up and he'd do the same thing, because that's just how you had practiced all the time. And, where there was 5 people and your job was, somebody was to pull the valve on the fire truck and the hose lay was in the hose bed. Well, 50% of the people, the poor guy that had to pull the lever couldn't wait because he was so anxious, and he pulled it, and the hose just went everywhere out of the hose bed.
Sure.
I mean, but this was all camaraderie amongst fire departments, and that made it even better to, hey, don't worry about that hose. We'll get it back in there.
Mm-hmm.
No big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was kind of having fun and relaxed, and where you would use water, you'd squirt each other. It was all. That was where you let your guard down, and you had fun with your family.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was a big family throughout the state.
Mm-hmm.
I've throughout my career, then I met other people from other states. It's awesome to be able to share your experiences with other people.
Mm-hmm.
I just got back from doing pump testing for San Francisco Fire.
Wow.
And the weather wasn't so good, but all the people out there were awesome.
That's cool.
And, they just welcome you in, and it's just that brotherhood of the fire service that you are able to. I want to expand that brotherhood because we've gotten into that time of everybody's life where we're hurried, we're rushed.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to slow down, and we got to say, how's your day?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to make that day better?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to that, it's a full circle, and it comes back that we need to really emphasize that we're getting stressed out more. There's more things in today's society that really stress people out, and we've got to help those people that are getting stressed out, which makes it better for everybody else. You hate to hear the bad news that we hear today, but let's make it better for somebody, and that somebody may take care of that. Just that little glitch in their life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, well, let's talk about the two sides. This podcast, Going Interior. Two things. Like, you've been in a lot of fires, a lot of incidents. You've been on a lot of calls over the. When did you start at Clifton?
1985.
85. All right. So a long run. A lot of different calls. Some probably memorable for creating that camaraderie, I would guess, and some just challenging, right?
There was a real challenge of one that was the KREX fire. That was a building, and a couple of us had gone interior, 2 in, 2 out, and we were the 2 in the front. And we went down some stairs. It was totally dark. You couldn't see anything, but we felt our way down the stairs, went to the right, going down some stairs, and you could just feel the air inside and coming, kind of doing a swoosh where you could feel nothing, and then you'd feel the air come back on the back side of your head or the back side of your hood, that you could just kind of get an eerie feeling. So we knew that gas exchange with the ignitability of the gases. We hadn't made it to the fire yet, so we couldn't, whether it was close or whether it was farther down in the stairway, because it was kind of a stairway where you'd come in the door, go to the right, you'd go down like 5 steps, hit a platform, and take a couple more steps, and then turn, and then go down another flight of stairs, which was probably another 8 stairs or so. But it was so blacked out in there you couldn't see anything, but you could definitely hear the swoosh of the air drawing back in and then coming back, and you knew just by the feel of, you had that eerie feeling of that flashover point coming back, or just about at that right time. Because you know that, anytime you enter a building and you enter it and there's fire and there's heat and all the hot gases go to the top of the area where you're at before you get that flashover, if it reaches that point. But we just had that eerie feeling of it just about to happen. Fortunately, we were able to get out before the flashover occurred until we got to the door. I was the second person on the hose, and I tapped the guy on the nozzle. I said, "We got to get out of here." He said, "It's going to happen." And so we got to the front door, and of course it happened, and it blew us out of the door.
Wow.
And me being the little guy and him being the bigger guy, I ended up at the dog pile. I was on the bottom. That same fire, I was working with a captain. We went around to the, we'd call it the north side back then. We didn't have A, B, C, and D side. And it had a metal roll-up door. And he goes, we got to get in here. We got to roll this door up. We got to get it up. And so, okay, you're the captain. So put the Halligan tool under the door and started raising it up, and you could see the smoke come out. You could see the smoke go back in.
Wow.
And I said, nope, we're not raising this door.
Had enough. Got blown up once
already. Got blown out of this building once. I'm not doing it twice. And,
I mean, that's reasonable.
And so, that
once per incident.
And, you stay on that one for a long time because it was a big building and stuff. But,
sure.
There was another great memorable one that is not so memorable to me, but it is to everybody else, and hence the nickname that I received was Tomahawk.
Okay.
You know it, and I know it. And we were out on a fire, out on the Redlands, shed fire, and we were putting water on this shed fire, and it wasn't going anywhere. So with the experience, we got to put a hole in this building so we can get water inside. And I took a axe, getting ready to go through this siding on this shed. And, of course, my hands were wet, slippery, and I took a big old swing with the axe, and the axe went right through the siding and went into the building. I just went with my little snap of the fingers and wave of the hand and said, darn. And there was the media back
recording
off of the way, and they recorded it.
Oh, no.
And so, hence my name as the Tomahawk.
That's what you meant to do, right?
But, yeah, and then it's funny because then I just pulled the siding off, reached in and got my axe back. So, there's good times. There was another one where we were fighting a church fire over on 4th and Grand, and we were told to go up on the roof. We were on the ladder truck and went up on the roof, put our roof ladder up, and we're kind of getting down close to it, and we put a hole in there for ventilation. Mm-hmm. Back in the day when you'd ventilate from the roof. And, the hot gases and everything were coming out of there, and me and the other firefighter decided we better get off this roof. And we barely got off the roof, and the ladder went through the whole roof.
Ooh.
Hence, there's a memorable ladder at Station 1 hanging with that they dry clothes on, or dry suits and stuff on.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of memorable times, good and bad.
Yeah.
But, you make a positive outcome out of all those situations, and that's what makes it even better for everybody else. Learning experiences.
Yeah.
How better do you learn than through either somebody or somebody helping you understand what you went through.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of stressful calls. And that doesn't surprise me at all. As much as you worked, you've been on some big incidents. What have you done with all that? I guess it sounds like you bonded with your crew over it, and it's maybe changed you in some ways.
It changed me in a little bit to be more, I guess, reserved on certain things. And I know as we teach more about peer groups and burnout, and to talk about things. I guess I can go back to my childhood where when we moved over to Libya, we got there a month before the coup when Gaddafi took over. Mm-hmm. And so we learned, or I did as a kid, that you have to learn to sometimes take that back seat, or sometimes be silent about things and let them go at the same time. You can't bottle that feeling of very depression or bottle that anger or anything like that. You got to talk to somebody or you got to let go of it. And that goes back to whether it's fire, whether it's EMS, that you have a stressful call. You're not going to get some of those positive outcomes with fire, destroying somebody's house, but if you can even save something in that house, one memorable thing for them, or at least get something out of the house for them, that's a positive, because they've lost a lot of their personal items inside that devastation that they've experienced at that time.
I like that. I think a lot of us can be pretty self-critical and hypercritical we want to be really good at what we do, right? And that probably goes for everybody, and at every level, you're not going to do everything perfectly every single time. And if you're always critical of yourself and never looking for those good things, you're not going to have any fun at doing any of it. Like you can armchair quarterback yourself every single day, and you might get really good, and you might not enjoy it.
No, you can be good at a lot of things and really good at some things and the best at one or two things. But when we go back to being a firefighter, you're kind of expected to be good at a whole lot of things, but you can't expect somebody to be really good at everything. That's why it's a team sport, basically. You're on a team, and you're expected to excel at a lot of things, which a lot of people do. But you're your own worst enemy. There's nobody worse than yourself, and we all, myself included, beat ourselves up over certain things. You have to have some limitations and understanding of yourself as to what you can do. Yes, I'm a small guy, and I expect to do the same thing as the big guy, or I'm expected to do the same thing as that big guy. So how do you do that? How do you get the big 6'3" guy that weighs 250 pounds out of the burning building when you're only 150 pounds? You got to do it. You got to figure it out. And that's how you get them out. But do it before you're in that situation. So you have to kind of think about everything. Yeah, there's going to be bumps in the road. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of bumps in the road.
Yeah.
But you just got to remember, they're just speed bumps, and you can get over those bumps.
So we were just talking about there are going to be challenges, obviously bumps in the road. You've, certainly you've got to have your share. If you do this since 1985 until you just retired in 22?
22.
I mean, there's got to be bumps in the road along that long of a career.
There was a lot of bumps, but the support is phenomenal. Without the support of my spouse, my lovely wife, Sally.
She just came in the room.
She definitely can be one of the backbones of the whole situation, because she gives that support, whether it's training, whether it's jobs. She has allowed me to be the way I am. And that's a big thing. Our secret, I guess, as you want to call it, is we both support each other and allow each other to do whatever they like. And that makes it so there's not so much stress at home. There's been a lot of times throughout the years that during the volunteer years that we would go out, we'd eat. She would be left at the restaurant with the kids, and until I got back, that was kind of norm for us.
Yeah.
And later on in life, when we were able to afford it, we'd take 2 cars, and then she was able to go home after eating dinner. That just doesn't happen much anymore, But I know that if people get that support, of, you can do it and you have to talk about it, and you have to be understanding on both sides of it.
Yeah. And I can see that being reciprocal for y'all as well, just that you come home, I would guess. I mean, when you're at work, you're very present, and Sally can verify if that happens at home as well. You're very attentive to that person's who's in front of you. That's the major focus, and I think sometimes you talked about how distracted we are now, how much is going on. People don't have time for these other things. And even though your time at home may have been less because you're working these multiple jobs and that sort of thing, if you come home and are engaged and there for her, supportive of her and the kids as well, even though that may have been less time than somebody that only works one job, it can hopefully feel more powerful.
And it gives them the opportunity also to have their alone time, because everybody needs that alone time also. Not only time together, but alone time, just to kind of reset yourself and understand that you might need something other than what you're getting from your spouse or from your partner. You find it, whether it's watching a TV show or an educational show or a documentary or anything like that, that really kind of relaxes you, as well as gives you that time to expand on something you didn't know about. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a two-way street all the way, and you got to give and take.
It sounds like you were saying, too, just giving up some of the control of the other person. Let them be their person, you're your person, and you guys intersect on a really cool plane, and they're gonna have their own interests and do their own thing.
100%. Yeah. You really have to give and take, and sometimes you think you're right, and sometimes you're right, but you have to give up just to make it so that it's not a big issue, And most things are little. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that's huge. That's when it requires discussion, But you got to discuss it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can't let it go, but you got to give and take, 100%. Two-way street.
You've accomplished a tremendous amount. Long career, amazing family. What's next? Do you have goals at this point, or are your goals, like you were talking about earlier, this next interaction, I'm going to make the best I can. I'm going to make this person's day as good as I can. It seems like that's a big thing for you. It's really hard to retire for some people. Some people, they just shut it off and be done. But I'm not quite there yet to be able to do that. But the next chapter in our life is we're doing more traveling. There's still a lot to do. That's cool. And I think, with the way you do it and the way you approach work, and I'm sure Sally agrees, like you're not a person who's burnt out at this point after doing it since 1985. It's just, that's not where you're at. You are somebody that still just has so much to give each day, and that's a cool thing to be able to bring, whatever your role is at the fire department, and obviously it's shifted many times into what it is now, but it's just a neat thing to bring. So we appreciate it.
Well, thanks. Appreciate that. It's still a great road. Yeah. It's not over yet.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That's great.
Hope it helps somebody.
Absolutely. I think it will. Absolutely will. Also with us today, we have a special guest, Sally, Robert's wife of 38 years. Thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely. My pleasure. I am so truly blessed to have Robert as my husband.
Yeah. Well, we're blessed to have him as a coworker for so long.
Yeah.
We share the admiration. Sorry, Robert. He's still in the room, so he's turning red.
He does not like
getting praise like this. All right, we'll shift off for a second. So you guys have been married for 38 years. Mm-hmm. That's challenging with somebody being gone for that much time, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah. it can
I mean,
be.
raising the kids, all that stuff. You were working as well
Yes.
at different points throughout that.
The whole time.
The whole time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Full-time job.
Did you have family close, or how did
Yes.
you balance all that?
Yes, my mom and my dad
Okay.
were here. I had quite a few family members here, but they helped a lot with the children. And how do you go wrong with that when when your parents are taking care of your kids? They did a pretty good job with you, so you kind of got to trust them. But it helped a lot. Robert would take, or I would take our daughter to my parents in the morning, and then he would get off work and he would go pick them up afterwards and take them home, and then I would get home a couple hours after that, and then start your evening things. And but if he was gone on his fire 24, 48 hour, whatever he was doing, then of course it was just myself that would take care of it. So
Right. Yeah. Did you guys ever question that? Because you both worked together at Coors Tech, right?
Correct.
And then he moved into the firefighting, the long shifts. I mean, he was probably even volunteering.
He was
before
volunteering
that, though,
at
right?
that time.
So,
Yep. When we first got married, he was volunteering.
So you kind of knew what you were getting into a little bit, because I'm sure he was a grade A volunteer.
Oh,
he
absolutely.
Doesn't have to do anything. So.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah. And he loved that. And
absolutely.
Like he spoke earlier, that sometimes we would be stuck somewhere at the restaurant or wherever it may be. Or luckily, sometimes we would just be like, hurry up, guys, let's go. We've got to hop in the car. Let's go.
Right.
But it just worked out, and you just do it. And he has such a passion for helping people, helping the community, servicing people, no matter what it is. And so I knew that when I picked him, and he picked me. And so who am I to say he can't continue on with his passion? He would never tell me I could not do that. So and actually I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's such an amazing guy. Everybody just has such high things. He's got such integrity and, morals and values that it's just amazing.
Yeah, neat to be a part of. But like we said
yes.
earlier, I mean, it certainly takes a team to do all that he's done, and to have, a successful marriage, to have to have the kids be grown and be healthy and all those things. Like, you had to both be pulling together. So hopefully some of that for you feels like this is a team thing, whether he's working these jobs, because that's still taking time away from the family and all those things. It's contributing to the family,
Sure.
but you guys are doing all that together.
Yeah. Yep, we are. And holidays, birthdays, fun things like that, you just learn to work around that. Whether it's have a birthday early, whether it's wait for dad to get home for Christmas, have, Christmas on Christmas Eve, you have to change things up that way to make it work. Because as much as we miss him not being there, he misses not being there.
Absolutely.
So, and firefighters, paramedics, you guys miss so much. You do miss a lot of your children growing up. You miss a lot of things, a lot of ball games, a lot of dancing, practicing, whatever it is. So, you have to take into account that even though they're providing this service, they are also making a sacrifice to their family. So
I remember talking to my wife, when my daughter was young, if she takes her first steps while I'm gone, don't tell me. Act excited when I get home.
Yes.
She takes these steps, and these can be her first, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that is so true.
But,
yeah.
Was there anything you think you did that was unique? I mean, one unique thing is I don't think Robert needs to sleep, which is helpful. But was there anything you think you did that was unique to connect on those times? Like when he would come home from work, you had the kids, that sort of thing, that for you guys to keep that interaction and that closeness for you?
Well, like you just said, and I know we're just praising Robert, but he's such a great guy that he's always so even keel. But yes, if I needed him, he was always there for me. of course, there were times when I would get frustrated and get up, of course, we're human, he's not there and I need him because, the hot water heater went out, those type things. But, he was always there. And so I think just the unique thing is that he would always make the time to make sure that we are taken care of. And if he would come home and I would need to tell him something or say something, he was always there to listen and just be Robert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really great attribute, to be able to work these multiple jobs, but still to know and deeply feel like this is important when I'm home. This is important. This needs to be my focus. I can't let the other stuff be the focus, which is remarkable, I must say, because I've called him many times when he's not at work, and he's made me feel very important as well. Sorry, we're fighting over Robert right now. We are fighting over Robert.
I've
distracted him many times.
I get to bring him home.
That's fine.
Yeah.
No offense, buddy.
Yeah. But he's just, that's just who he is. And he's just he's made such amazing friends and, nurses and doctors and, everywhere we go, everybody knows him, and I have to, I can't resent the fact that who he is who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys have a really neat thing.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure to see it from, a little bit from afar and get to come to some of the ceremonies together and stuff like that.
Yeah. So. Yeah. He's, pretty amazing. And, he even though he was gone a lot and, working so much, he was just doing a job to provide for but he's doing a job to provide for his family. And he just happens to be a firefighter paramedic that is away from home more than an 8-to-5 job. And so, but he always made us feel important, and he always made his job feel important as well. So it was just a great career for him, a great career for me to be a part of, and just we made such great friends. And the fire group family, as he put it, is just an amazing group. It's an amazing group of people. They take care of each other. That is just crazy to me. They're always there. He would call me every night, and if he didn't call me and it was getting later, because he would respect me, and say, hey, she's probably late. It's late. She's going to bed. And I might send him a quick text, and say, hey, I'm going to bed. And he would do his normal, if he was available, and say, copy, and then at least I knew he was okay and he was just really busy. So at least I could just, go to sleep knowing he was just busy. Yeah.
We do have a lot of young families, a lot of people just starting out in their marriages. You guys have made it work for 38 years. And what type of advice would you have for them?
I think my advice would be that you chose this person. You chose the partner that you want. And so when you've chose them now, and you have got to respect what they want to do. This is their passion. That doesn't mean that you are going to be second. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be a part of all of this, but you can't try to change them and get upset with them when they are doing their job. And if they're not going to be able to call you, or you're calling them and they're not responding, and you cannot be upset about that, because this is their job. They have got a huge responsibility, a big responsibility on top of them when they are at work. And you have to respect the fact that this is what they are doing, and this is their passion, and this is what you chose to be a part of. So you cannot be upset with what they want to do and their passion. Because again, he would never tell me I could not do anything. Whatever I want to do, he is always supportive of me. And he would never say anything about, you can't do that. Yeah,
a lot of mutual respect there.
Yes, yeah.
Grounded with a lot of care for each other. You know that at the end of the day, there's still that certainly that clearly you care for each other deeply, and that's not going to be compromised by the fact that you're busy. You both were really busy, it sounds like, the whole time.
Yeah. And like I said, the responsibility that firefighter paramedics have, we really, as the wife, partner, whatever it is, we do not understand the mental things that firefighter paramedics go through, the things that they see when they come upon a scene, and then how they have to mentally try to compartmentalize that and then let it go. And, so you just have to be so respectful of who they are and what they chose to do, because they want to service people, they want to service the community, and they want to be compassionate to everybody. Yeah, and you can't let that be your downfall, to say I'm not number one to you, even though you are, but at that point you're not. Mm-hmm. And just like I said, you chose them and you knew what they were going to do. And so you can't hold that against them. You cannot resent that. Yeah.
Sally, Robert, thank you so much for coming in.
You bet.
I had one quote that I thought was that I enjoyed from Abe Lincoln, Honest Abe. When I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad. That's my religion. So it seemed pretty apropos of what we've been talking about. Appreciate you both tremendously. So thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Going Interior. I hope the ideas shared here help you to adapt to the challenges of your life and career. Please share and like this episode if you find it useful. It's been produced by Dirk Klingman and Ellis Thompson of the Grand Junction Fire Department. With special thanks to 970 West Studio for sharing their space, equipment, and expertise. Take care and please join us again next week.